Shalom, shalom, shalom. Israel, shalom to the Torah Shahs, Yasha Allah, giving of course all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Mashak, Yahweh. That's all praises, honor, and glorification unto the Most High, who is the Father, in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh. This is your brother Yasha Allah. Alright, coming back to y'all with yet another video through the Spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Mashak, Yahweh. This be going into Job chapter 32, and I'm break that down, Salaki, according to the wisdom and knowledge, understanding which the Most High has bestowed upon me, all right, to the best of my ability, all right. Job chapter 32, and there's not much going into this, but it is a good chapter. You know what I'm saying? It is a good chapter, and Job in general is a good book full of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. All right. So if you desire that, if you desire to have knowledge, wisdom, understanding, first you gotta, of course, it has to be given you from the Most High. Of course, you can pray for it, as it says in the book of James, the first chapter, the 5th verse. And I'm talking to you, Israelites, right? So-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American. And you can you get knowledge and wisdom, understanding by reading. You know what I'm saying? You understand it by reading. All right, because let's go to the book of Isaiah. Or let me get this real quick, because we already know Isaiah 34 and 16. Let's get this though. It's the book of Daniel, chapter 9. Right, Daniel chapter 9 and verse 2. In the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of the years whereof the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolations of Jerusalem. So Daniel, he was up in the books, right? He was reading the scrolls of Jeremiah. You know what I'm saying? And he was getting down. So that's what we should be doing. Be like our forefather Daniel. You know what I'm saying? Getting in these books. Because this is how we're going to get the understanding. Alright, this is the book of Job, chapter 32 and verse 1. So these three men ceased to answer Job because he was righteous in his own eyes. Right, and if you haven't read, the chapters before, I encourage you to read it. Then was kindled the wrath of Elihu. And remember, Elihu means Yahweh is God. All right, that's what Elihu means. Yahweh is God. The son of Barakel, the Buzite of the kindred of Ram, against Job was his wrath kindled, because he justified himself rather than God. Right, because Job, he was basically defending himself, especially when you read Slacky chapter 31. He was defending himself. He was like, "Hey, where's my fault at?" Because let me read Job chapter 31 and verse 35. Oh, that one would hear me. Behold, my desire is that the Almighty would answer me, and that mine adversary had written a book. You see that? You see that? So he's like, hey, Job was like, hey, let me talk to the Almighty. Where's my fault? Why am I suffering from all this? Where did I go off at? And that's why Job was frustrated. And Elihu, he was getting mad, right? Because that's what that means. Slacky, let me go back to Job chapter 32, verse 2. Then was kindled the wrath of Elihu, meaning that he was getting angry, right? Kindled. His anger was kindled like a fire. You know what I'm saying? The son of Barakel, the Buzite, the kindred of Ram, against Job was his wrath kindled. Man, he got mad at Job because he justified himself rather than God. Also against his three friends was his wrath kindled, because they had found no answer and yet had condemned Job. So he also got not only mad at Job, but also his three friends. The three wise men that were with him, right? I believe one of them was Eliphaz, right? And the two others, you can go and seek that out for yourself. Verse 4. Now Elihu had waited till Job had spoken, because they were elder than he. You see that? That's manners right there. In the multitude of elders, he kept silence, because he was the youngest out of all of them, right? Out of the four, he was the youngest. It says, when Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of these three men, then his wrath was kindled. It says, it's like, let me get this precept, Sirach chapter 32. And before I get this, let me read verse 6. And Elihu, the son of Barakel, the Buzite, answered and said, I am young, and ye are very old, wherefore I was afraid, and durst not show you mine own opinion. You see that? Mine opinion. Because Elihu, he was, this is his manners. He knew that when the elders were talking, he was like, okay, they know what's up. You know what I'm saying? They know, and I'm just a young man, right? I should keep my silence, right? Because let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 32, and verse 7. Sirach, chapter 32, and verse 7. And it reads, "Speak, young man, if there be need of thee, and yet scarcely when thou art twice asked." It says, "Speak, young man, if there has been need of thee." You know what I'm saying? It says, "And if it's like, and yet scarcely when thou art twice asked," meaning, hey, you want to say something? And the young men, they're like, nah, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? We'd rather just listen to y'all, right? Verse 8, "Let thy speech be short, comprehending much in few words. Be as one that knoweth, and yet holdeth his tongue." Now, this is the wisdom of Ban Sirach. You know, he's teaching us some manners. You know what I'm saying? He's teaching us manners, teaching us how to conduct ourselves. Verse 9, "If thou be among great men, make not thyself equal with them." Right? You sitting amongst kings and princes, you're trying to make yourself equal to them. You know? You have to know your place. Right? We have to know our place. You know? And when ancient men are in place, use not many words. You see that? So that's why Elihu, he kind of held his peace. Right? He didn't really say anything until he got up here with it. And he got fed up. And he just had to speak. You know? Let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 12, and verse 7. Sirach, chapter 12, actually, Sirach, chapter 6, and verse 14. It says, "Use not many words in a multitude of elders, and make not much babbling when thou prayest." So he didn't want to make many words, or he didn't want to say a lot of stuff in the multitude of elders, right? Because he knew that was inappropriate, right? So let's go to Job chapter 32 and verse 6 again. "And Elihu the son of Barachel the Buzite answered and said, I am young, and ye are very old. Wherefore I was afraid, and durst not show you mine opinion." Right? And we already know that in some matters, showing your opinion is vain. You know what I'm saying? Like it says in the book of Sirach chapter 3 and verse 24, I believe. Right? Sirach chapter 3, Sirach chapter 3, verse 24. All right, but let's go back to Job 32 and 7. "I said, days should speak, and multitude of years should teach wisdom." That's right. You know, Elihu's like, hey, like anyone else would think, man, these old men, they've been living a long time. They probably know what's up. Hey, they should speak, and the multitude of years should teach wisdom. They've been through a lot. They've experienced stuff. They maybe have traveled many places. So they know what's up. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm not going to show my opinion. What do I look like trying to talk and with these elders? That's what Elihu's mindset was. Verse 8. But guess what? What does he say? He says, "But there is a spirit in man." Right? There's a spirit in you. Just like how there's a spirit in me, there's a spirit in you. Right? "And the inspiration of the Almighty giveth them understanding." So the inspiration of the Almighty gives you understanding. It's not about how old you are, right? It's not about how young you are, right? It's about if the Most High gives you knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, right? The inspiration of the Almighty, right? Giveth them understanding. All right, let's go to the book of Zechariah. I have this precept put down. Zechariah, right, chapter 12 and verse 1. "The burden of the word of the Lord for Israel, saith the Lord, which stretcheth forth the heavens, and layeth the foundation of the earth, and formeth the spirit of man within it." See that? So you have a spirit inside of you. No matter if you're Edomite, Israelite, Moabite, Ammonite, no matter what nation you come from, man, there is a spirit in you. All right? Let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians. Go to the book of 1 Corinthians, right? Chapter, see if I want this. 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. "For what man knoweth the things of a man, save the spirit of man which is in him?" So there's a spirit in you, all right? "Even so the things of God knoweth no man, but the spirit of God." All right? Let's go back to that. Job chapter 32 and verse 9. It says, "Great men are not always wise, neither do the aged understand judgment." So And he's saying facts. Sometimes, and this great men means it's not just talking about like, you know, kings or princes. It's talking about older people, right? Older people. Sometimes they're not always wise. You have a lot of old fools, you know, out here, right? Sometimes people, right? That's maybe old. Maybe they're 80 years old and they don't even know their nationality, right? Maybe they're 80 years old and they don't know certain things. They don't know their history. You know what I'm saying? And whatnot. It says, great men are not always wise, neither do the aged understand judgment. You know? And when you look at that in different translations, it basically says that sometimes the aged, right, they don't understand justice. You know? That's what it says. Verse 10. Therefore I said, hearken to me, I also will show mine opinion. So now, you know, Elihu, he kind of wants to get his opinion out there. You know, he has some wisdom that he can put to the table, right? And this shows you that what? Young people can also be wise as well. They can put forth their wisdom, you know, that the Most High has given them. Verse 11, behold, I waited for your words. I gave ear to your reasons, whilst you searched out what to say. Right? Meaning that what? He was waiting. You know, he was looking, and before he was waiting for the right time. Let's go to that. Sirach, chapter 20, and verse 5. There is one that keepeth silence and is found wise, and another by much babbling becometh hateful. Meaning, if you using a lot of words and you just talking all the time, people are going to hate you, right? Some man holdeth his tongue, knowing because he have not to answer. Right, because, you know, like, let's say you sitting up in class and the teacher asks a math question and nobody knows. You don't raise your hand because you don't know the answer, right? You just don't know. It says, some man holdeth his tongue because he have not to answer, and some keepeth silence, knowing his time. So that was Elihu. In the case of Elihu, he was just holding his silence because he wanted to observe the time and know when to speak, right? It says, verse 11, behold, I waited for your words. I gave ear to your reasons, whilst you searched out what to say. Yea, I attended unto you, and behold, there was none of you that convinced Job, or that answered his words. Right? Lest he should say, we have found out wisdom, God thrusted him down, not man. Exactly. So the Most High, he thrust Job down, not man. You know? The Most High, he had to, when you read that in the account, let's go to the Job chapter 2. Job chapter 2 and verse 3. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? And still he holdeth fast his integrity, although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause. So that's the Lord talking to Satan. And the Lord saying, hast thou considered my servant Job? Right? The Lord is saying that Job is perfect and upright. He's keeping the commandments. He's keeping the faith. He's doing everything that he can to serve me. Right? Verse 4. And Satan answered the Lord and said, skin for skin, yea, all that a man have will he give for his life. But put forth thine hand now, and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. So basically, Satan is telling the Most High that if he provoked or put Job through the fire and tempted him, Job, he would just fold, and he will curse you to your face. Right? Let's see what the Lord said. Verse 6, and the Lord said unto Satan, behold, he is in thine hand, but save his life. You see that? Behold, he is in thine hand, but save his life. So the Most High, yes, he brought Job down through Satan, right? He brought Job down through Satan. Let's go to the book of 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel chapter 2 and verse 6. The Lord killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave and bringeth up. The Lord maketh poor and maketh rich. He bringeth low and lifteth up. So that's the Most High right there. Right? He brings you up and he can bring you down. Right? Even when you read the book of Sirach, it says that the Lord, he on the sudden can make a poor man rich instantly like that. You know what I'm saying? Verse 8, he raiseth up the poor out of the dust and lifteth up the beggar from the dunghill. You see that? To set them among princes and to make them inherit the throne of glory. So if he can set beggars, people that were just destitute, that were poor, and he can set them up and make them sit among princes, then he can do the opposite, right? He can clearly do the opposite. That's what he did with Job, man. The Lord, he took away Job's house, took away his cattle, took away his kids, made his wife wicked, right? And took everything away from Job, right? And he even got his friends there to get on him. You know what I'm saying? So Khan, that's what the Lord does. He can bring you up, or he can bring you down. All right? Job chapter 32 and verse 12. Yeah, I attended unto you, and behold, there was none of you that convinced Job or that answered his words. Right? Lest he should say, we have found out wisdom, God thrusteth him down, not man. Now he hath not directed his words against me, neither will I answer him with your speeches. They were amazed, they answered no more, they left off speaking. When I had waited, for they spake not, but stood still and answered no more. So Elihu's noticing that they weren't speaking anymore. I said, I will answer also my part. I also will show mine opinion. For I am full of matter, the spirit within me constraineth me. Meaning that what? He wants to talk. He wants to speak. Just like how you're in a conversation with somebody or a debate and you want to speak, you want to talk, right? But you just can't. You know what I'm saying? That's that spirit that's in you, that's constraining you, right? Verse 19, behold, my belly as wine, which hath no vent and is ready to burst like new bottles. So he's likening his belly. And his belly, this is how you know that the belly can be likened unto the mind, because your belly doesn't speak, right? Your belly doesn't speak. All your belly does, your stomach, is just digest the food, right? That's where you have the large intestines and the small intestine, right? And you have all these various, the abdominal area. That's your belly. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really do anything. The belly right here that he's talking about is talking about your mind, right? And his mind, he's likening his mind onto a new wine bottle that's ready to burst, right? So, Khan, just he wanted to speak, right? He wanted to say something, right? So, Khan, that's what he's saying. Verse 20, I will speak that I may be refreshed. I will open my lips and answer. You see that? Because after you say something, now you're refreshed, right? You finally got it all out, Verse 21, let me not, I pray you, accept any man's person. Neither let me give flattering titles unto man. For I know not to give flattering titles. In so doing, my maker would soon take me away. So he didn't want to flatter anybody. He didn't want to be a respecter of persons. That's what that's saying. Let's go to the book of Job chapter 17 and verse 5. Even Job talked about not giving flattery. Job chapter 17 and verse 5. He that speaketh flattery to his friends, even the eyes of his children shall fail. You see that? If you speak flattery to your friends, even the eyes of your children will fail. All right, let's go to the book of Leviticus. We can't be respecter of persons, right? Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 15. Leviticus chapter 19 verse 15. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty. That's showing partiality, right? But in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. So we can't show any respect or person. We can't be respecter of persons. What does that mean? That means that, let's say, in this case, it says, thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty. If you had to put somebody to death, like a rich man, let's say he committed a crime, and back in the ancient world, you had to put him to death for that, right? You can't just be like, whoa, this man, he has a lot of money, he's famous, he has the best chariots, so maybe, we're not going to kill him. That's being a respecter of person, right? Gone. The Lord, he always reiterates that he doesn't respect any man. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't care about men. You know? The only nation he respects is Israel. Because let's go to the book of Exodus real quick. Let's go to the book of Exodus chapter 2 and verse 25. And God looked upon the children of Israel, and God had respect unto them. So the Most High has respect. The Most High respects the nation of Israel as a whole, but in the individual, he doesn't respect, right? He doesn't respect it. If you can understand it. Job chapter 32 and verse 22. For I know not to give flattering titles. Flattering titles just means flattery, right? Elihu's like, look, I don't even know how to give flattery, right? In so doing, meaning if I did do it, my maker would soon take me away. You see that? Meaning I would be wiped off the face of the earth. Alright? So, Khan. So, that's Job chapter 32. Not too deep, you know, but it did still have some knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in there, you know? So, with that, I'd like to give all honor, glory, and praise unto the Most High Yahweh, Bash, Shema, Mashak, Wamalak, Yahweh Shah. Right? Till next time, Shalom.